Hello, and welcome to Obscure Poets of History, everything you need to blag your way through poetry, with me, Ben Moore.
And me, Rick Saunders.
Hello.
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 I am Ben Moore, also known as the Park Bench Poet.
I'm Rick Saunders, aka Willis the Poet.
Willie's the Poet.
Willis the Poet.
Willie's the Poet.
Yep.
And that was an actual recording on a wax cylinder of Alfred Lord Tennyson reading his poem Charge of the Light Brigade.
You couldn't really tell, could you?
Well, no, that could be anyone reading the Charge of the Light Brigade 200 years ago. Do you think it sounded that bad when they recorded it, or do you think that it's become that bad?
I think that was his actual voice.
He's a very crackly man, was Tennyson. All the biographies. Tennyson was a man famously incoherent for the crackly, distorted nature of his voice.
So we were musing, Ben, whether that was the first ever spoken word performance recording.
Ever recorded. The first ever performance poetry. It's an inauspicious start for the genre, recording onto a wax cylinder.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure that somewhere in the background I can hear a bit of clicking going on. Finger clicking.
I think that was just more of his voice's distortions. He was a famously clicky man.
I like to think it was the audience. I think it was
clicking.
The audience getting into it.
I mean, we will unpack slightly his actual performances, and I think it was you were more likely to hear snoring and wailing and gnashing of teeth
guffawing
at his performances than trendy clicking. But I like to think that maybe if he were around today, there would be trendy clicks at his very fervently pro-war poetry.
Yes.
That would go down a storm.
That would go down well.
Especially in the Birmingham poetry scene.
Open mic, I feel.
Famously a warmongering scene.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Rick? Why are we here?
I have no idea.
What is this?
So we're exploring the what we like to call the obscure poets of history. Obviously, we're starting with the obscurest of the most.
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Lord Tennyson. Yeah, to shine a comedic spotlight, Ben, onto their works, their lives, to to kind of bring it alive, really. So that's what we're trying to do.
The obscure poets.
Yes.
So I think the name we've possibly settled on for the podcast is Obscure Poets from History. And I guess the tagline for this episode is something along the lines of everything you need to know to pretend you've read Tennyson. And by the end, you should be able to blag your way through. I was going to say, a conversation at a party about Tennyson. Maybe that says something about the kinds of parties I don't get invited to.
You go to. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
Who was he?
Who was he?
Who was Tennyson?
That's a very good question.
Who was the longest serving poet laureate? That was him.
Yeah. He 40 odd years.
A very long time.
42 or 43.
I wonder if that was the reason why a few laureates later they introduced the 10-year rule.
I think it was.
The 10-year limit. But yes, he was the longest serving poet laureate, friend of the Queen, Victoria, friend of the Queen Victoria. Kind of had some ups and downs, but seems to have landed in the sort of quite beloved section, I guess, of historic poets. He's managed to avoid too much scandal or reappraisal later on.
I think it was because he kind of went in and out of popularity, didn't he? Mostly of his own volition.
Yeah. There was a lot of going out of popularity with Tennyson.
Yeah.
With individuals and the
critics.
Public. Yeah. This is something I have come to... We'll perhaps revisit this later, but this is something I've come to refer to as the Phil Collins arc, which is the trajectory of a career which takes in a lot of ups and downs, and it has to encompass an era of real lows
Yep.
but ends in national treasure.
Yeah.
It's to me,
I think
Phil Collins typifies this
Treasure
arc.
and Phil Collins' part is a bit strong. But
I mean, Adele's a fan.
is she?
Yeah. So
Okay.
say what you will, but Adele loves Phil Collins. For me, Phil Collins typifies the arc from
Of which we will be measuring every poet
exactly
from here on in throughout the series. Where are they on the Phil Collins arc?
Where are they? Are they still moving along the Phil Collins arc? Because some people don't reach National Treasure for centuries after they're gone. But Tennyson did the whole arc. What is he perhaps best remembered for, Rick?
Couple of long poems. He was the long form master, wasn't he?
Yes.
He also enjoyed reciting his long poems in the public arena.
Yeah, so
to basically anyone that would listen to him.
Yes, Tennyson. Social cues don't seem to have been his strong point, and he was remembered by many of his contemporaries for his habit of sitting down at a party and spending 2 hours reading his latest.
That's a hell of an open mic.
Poem. Yeah. Well, the problem was, if people were too enthusiastic, he would immediately do it again.
Yeah.
The same poem.
That's just greedy, isn't it?
For 2 hours again.
Yeah.
And if anyone had any questions and wasn't sure about the interpretation of the poem, he would read it again. Wow. And if anyone criticised the poem, he would cry and go home. He was
sensitive,
quite sensitive to people's criticisms, not at all sensitive to their comfort or discomfort.
Can you imagine that happened now? You kind of rock up on an open mic night and you've got 5 minutes.
Spend 2
5
hours.
minutes max. I'm just going to read. I'm just going to do a dedication poem to start with. In memorandum. In memoriam.
In memoriam.
Yeah, I got that right. In memoriam.
I feel like that would
by Alfred Lord Tennyson.
It would start well because you'd go, if you were Tennyson in this scenario, you go, do you know what? I wrote this poem about a friend of mine who he was engaged to my sister, and then he passed away, and everyone
Trigger
would go,
warning.
oh,
yeah,
wow, yeah,
trigger warning
for grief.
Yeah,
you'd really have people on side, and then after the 5 minutes had expired, and if it was on your poetry nights, you'd played a bit of flute or squeezed a rubber chicken to indicate, or your kazoo to indicate the time was up, and he'd keep going.
Yeah,
and then you'd hit the 15-minute mark, and people would start to maybe be a bit concerned,
to be uncomfortable in their chairs, wouldn't they?
And then you get maybe half an hour in, and people would just be calling, begging him.
People would just leave.
Please stop! You have to stop this. I feel like 2 hours in, that's the whole poetry night. That's it. That's he is.
I'd have had to get in and wrestle him off the stage, physically remove him from the building.
That he's the kind of guy for whom rules that are explained in the preamble of a poetry night were made for, aren't they? When you get up and go, please don't go on longer than your 5 minutes. Please give trigger warnings. Please respect the people around you.
Yeah,
he's exactly the kind of figure that those rules have to be read out for.
And yet, for all of that, Ben, for all of that, he was the people's poet.
He was
a bit like Lady Diana.
Like Lady Diana,
a poet. Yeah.
This feels like the beginning of a conspiracy theory about Tennyson and Lady Diana. Nobody's ever seen them
in the
same room. Maybe into every generation is born a people's princess
and a poet laureate. I wonder what Simon Armitage is up to.
So long poems.
Yes.
Perhaps the most famous of his long ones being In Memoriam, which he wrote for Hallam, his
poetry friend,
his Bezzy mate, who again was I believe engaged to his sister and then but died.
Would you write a poem for me if I died, like a big long one?
Not that long.
Not that long. It's quite a chunky
haiku.
Haiku.
I'd write a sad haiku. I'd call it a bye-ku.
A haiku.
Yeah, goodbye. Goodbye, Rick.
Goodbye, ku.
Goodbye, Rick Sanders. There's the first line.
Yeah.
Written.
Goodbye. That is.
Yeah.
Fine.
So he wrote that one.
Yeah.
Other famous
Lady of Shalott.
Lady of Shalott.
He was a big fan of the
Very
Shalott.
strange poem. And of course, Charge of the Light Brigade that we heard.
We heard at the beginning. Well, we didn't quite hear it at the beginning because that was an awful recording.
But we heard an extract
Yes.
from, which, yes, was probably a very interesting performance piece from any other mouth but his.
Yeah.
But yes, one of the perhaps the most famous ones is Lady of Shalott.
Yes.
Which is about this woman who's in a tower.
Right.
And she's looking in a mirror and she sees some visions. I believe it's some part of Arthurian legend. She's been cursed. She can't look out the window or she'll die for some reason. But Lancelot is around. He's very dashing.
With his lance.
Quite a lot. And that's the weakest.
That was awful.
I don't know. But probably. And he's about. And she's kind of hoping he'll show up. He sort of does.
Yeah.
But she looks out the window and dies. I mean, spoilers, but it's a very old poem.
That's it in a nutshell.
And he sees her. And
Yeah.
kind of goes, oh, well, she's dead.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Move on.
But we...
Plenty more fish in the sea.
Yeah. He's over it immediately.
Is he?
Because as much as she's been watching him for some
cold,
time,
isn't it? Cold.
he has never met this.
Does he get to climb her hair?
No,
that's not.
Because that's not the Lady of Shalott.
Oh, okay, that's something else.
I don't think the problem with leaving the tower is that there isn't a door. I don't think it's like that. I think there's a curse involved. I probably should have looked up exactly what the story is, but I think it doesn't matter really.
Obviously, he was the poet laureate for good reason. Shall we share a bit of that?
I think we'll read
poem,
a bit
just to give the audience, the listeners, the gravitas of the whole piece, part of it.
We're not going to read the whole piece because it's a bit long. It's split into 4 parts. We'll read part 1, and then we'll read part 4, and then
you can research the rest yourselves.
On either side the river lie long fields of barley.
Is it either or either?
Either. It doesn't change the flow.
Oh, okay.
Would you prefer either?
Either.
Okay,
go for that then.
What, either?
Yeah.
Either works.
Yeah, right, okay.
On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye that clothe the wold and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many-towered Camelot, and up and down the people go, gazing where the lilies blow round an island there below, the island of Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens quiver, little breezes dusk and shiver through the wave that runs forever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shalott. By the margin, willow-veiled, slide the heavy barges trailed by slow horses, and unhailed the shallop flitteth silken-sailed, skimming down to Camelot. But who hath seen her wave her hand, or at the casement seen her stand, or is she known in all the land? The Lady of Shalott. Only reapers, reaping early in among the bearded barley, hear a song that echoes cheerly from the river winding clearly down to towered Camelot. And by the moon the reaper weary, piling sheaves in uplands airy, listening, whispers, "'Tis the fairy Lady of Shalott."
End of part 1.
Part 2, she's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Thinks about Lancelot. Part 3, she's trying to catch his attention from the tower. He's very attractive. She looks out the window. The magical mirror cracks and she says, "Oh, I'm going to die." Which brings us to part 4.
Nice.
Part 4. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in his banks complaining, heavily the low skies raining over towered Camelot. Down she came and found a boat, beneath a willow left afloat, and round about the prow she wrote, "The Lady of Shalott." And down the river's dim expanse, like some bold seer in a trance, seeing all his own mischance, with a glassy countenance did she look to Camelot. And at the closing of the day she loosed the chain, and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of Shalott. Lying robed in snowy white, that loosely flew to left and right, the leaves upon her falling light. Through the noises of the night she floated down to Camelot. And as the boat head wound along the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her singing her last song, the Lady of Shalott. Heard a carol, mournful, holy, chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her blood was frozen slowly, and her eyes were darkened wholly, turned to towered Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the waterside, singing in her song, she died, the Lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a gleaming shape she floated by, dead pale between the houses high, silent into Camelot. Out upon the wharfs they came, knight and burgher, lord and dame, and round the prow they read her name, the Lady of Shalott. Who is this, and what is here? And in the lighted palace near died the sound of royal cheer, and they crossed themselves for fear, all the knights at Camelot. But Lancelot mused a little space. He said, she has a lovely face. God in his mercy lend her grace, the Lady of Shalott. How lovely.
That was well read, Ben.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
There were a couple of chuckles in there, some interesting words.
Yeah,
but
interesting words.
Yeah.
It strikes me as a bit of a rhymer, wasn't he?
Oh, yes.
Alfred
Yeah,
Tennyson.
now. Yeah. Which, perhaps causes some controversy
Especially
these days.
Yeah,
Does poetry have to rhyme?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But I guess as the longest-standing poet laureate of all time ever,
He was doing something right.
he was doing something right. And I think rhyming was probably it.
Right, you
What
think
do you
that's
think?
it? I mean, it's interesting,
It plays
isn't
a
it?
part.
Was he the Brian Bilston of his day? We've gone from People's Princess to the Facebook poet.
Yeah.
Brian Bilston being the poet who often pops up on
Twitter poet.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of them.
Social media poet of the world.
And all his poems rhyme.
Yeah.
And they usually have a little pun in there. And it is very popular. And I think it's probably risky to sit here and try and, disparage any popular poetry. We don't want to suppress popular poetry. But yeah, maybe rhyming is an easy way to hook people in. It's something to latch on to, isn't it? A rhyme, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I say easy as someone who really struggles to rhyme.
Well, I was struck by the fact
poetry.
that he mostly rhymed Camelot and Shalott the whole way through the entire poem.
Yeah, there's not very much imagination.
It's a bit lazy of him, but
in the final rhymes.
Otherwise, not bad. Not bad on the rhyming schemes.
If you're listening, Tennyson,
Yeah.
not bad. I think my favourite part of this poem is that the poor Lady of Shalott gets in her boat and she's dead by the time she gets there, and everyone is
It's probably exposure.
terrified for some reason.
Hypothermia?
Maybe the curse is hypothermia.
Yeah.
The sound of royal cheer dies because a random woman has shown up dead in a boat. But Lancelot doesn't panic.
No.
He walks out and he says, she's a bit of all right.
Nice face.
She's pretty fit. And that's the end of the poem.
That's the end of it.
She's yearned for this man her whole life, and then she dies, and he goes, "Phew,
Yeah. Nice.
look at her."
The knights come out with their burgers.
It's some kind of ruler of a town, isn't it? It's like a mayor or something.
Is it? Oh,
I think
I
so.
read that as like Bob's Burgers.
The knights brought their burgers
with
out.
their chips.
Very, very strange story, but very famous.
Why do you think that's so famous? Why do you think that's so popular? I mean, it was lauded,
Yeah.
and people liked it.
I think the rhyming is one thing.
Yeah.
It's got concerns about some of the qualities of
Got
the
the
rhymes.
classic mythology
Aside,
of the
yeah.
Arthurian legends.
Especially, within British mythology, the King Arthur story and the knights kind of still looms quite large in our mythology, and everybody gets the reference.
Yeah.
It's not like the kind of obscure stuff like, I guess, Charge of the Light Brigade. Nobody really... It was about the Crimean War.
Yeah.
But nobody today really, apart from historians probably, that doesn't really connect in the same way. It's not immediately obvious from the poem.
Yeah.
Whereas Lady of Shalott, it's Camelot. There we go.
It also features, of course, the very first drive-through burger experience.
Well, yeah, she drifts in. The knights come out with a burger, and then Lancelot says, "No, lad, she's not here for a burger. She's dead." based on our readings of Tennyson's poetry, his style, we are later going to actually share some poems we've written trying to emulate the style of Tennyson. We base them on 3 words from a random word generator, just to give you fair warning. And the words generated were earwax, undertake, and ruin. And so if you make it to the end of this podcast,
that's what you've got to look forward to.
Yeah.
Where are we now on the Phil Collins arc, Ben?
Well, so interestingly, when he first released The Lady of Shalott in a book called The Lady of Shalott and Other Poems, that book didn't do well at all. And so he actually went back and changed the poem and edited it and revised it a few times.
And he didn't like criticism, did he? Of his work?
He did not like criticism.
It left him profoundly ill at ease.
Yeah. So I think at this point we're kind of on the very early stages, quite obscure. So this is maybe Phil Collins in early Genesis.
Okay.
Where they haven't really made it yet, and people are going, "What on earth?"
Nobody understands their work.
Yeah. What on earth's happening? The great days are yet to come. But yes, maybe we should do a little bit of a deep dive into some of the interesting moments of Tennyson's
life.
Yeah,
because you've got to remember that people have got to be able to quote this at a party.
That's true. You need to know some fun facts.
Bluff your way through.
Yeah. So Tennyson's early years are interesting. He's got a dad who is a
hell of a family,
a vicar, possibly, but also
possibly a vicar.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
I think he was a vicar.
I was looking at you saying, possibly, am I correct? Possibly. I think I'm
correct. I
can
confirm he was a vicar. Yes.
He was a vicar. He was also quite mentally unwell.
Yeah.
His dad, so was not particularly pleasant, would disappear for great lengths of time, and then when he was around was not very nice. And so
disinherited him.
Yeah, pretty well. There was also, if you dive into Tennyson's ancestry, there's some very strange stuff going on that possibly, I think his uncle was convinced that they were kind of like aristocracy at some point in their past. So there were lots of high ideals amongst the Tennysons. Oh yeah, we're actually, one day we'll come into our inheritance and we'll be these fabulous people, and it never really happened.
Maybe that's why he got on so well with Queen Vic.
The Queen, yeah. And in fairness, he did become a lord later.
Lord.
It's kind of jumping
Lord
ahead.
Lord Tennyson.
He also, now this is very interesting, he also possibly had some form of epilepsy, because if you look at it, it's very weird, but he would have these little moments where reality faded away and his sense of self, he would have this intense derealization, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And he'd just be just this lovely feeling where just my whole sense of identity disappeared and I was at one with everything. And then it went away. And I think it was both, he thought it was nice, it was a source of inspiration, but also terrifying because he was constantly convinced that he was probably going mad.
Yeah, like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is just the perfect environment for a poet to emerge from.
Yeah.
At risk of getting too deep, if you describe it, there's a poet who came from a difficult home, struggled with some mental health issues, and found release and expression in poetry. And I don't say this at all dismissively, but that describes a lot of poets.
It's a classic. It's a classic description.
It's a classic formula.
Yeah.
Myself came from a very lovely home, but did the mental health struggle thing and drew inspiration from that. And it's quite a classic story, really.
Did you also go for the water treatment like Tennyson?
I didn't.
No?
I didn't go for the water treatment.
I think you've missed out there, because that sounded like a lot of fun, didn't it?
Getting wrapped in wet blankets and...
Yeah, and left for hours in a freezing cold tub of water.
Yeah, which was, of course, the cure for being melancholy.
It was just a cure for everything, wasn't it, in Victorian times?
Yeah, because there is nothing more joyful than being cold and wet, wrapped in wet clothes.
Yeah, with a wet blanket.
Cannot think of anything happier. Yeah, this is something that Tennyson returned to many times throughout his life. Whenever he was feeling sad, he thought, it's about time I got cold and wet again.
Yeah.
That'll help.
Yeah. Hydrotherapy. But but it turns out that was because he didn't really know what the diagnosis was until quite late on in his life, did he? And then it was discovered to be epilepsy, and it was like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
That's fine then.
But that was something he did quite a lot whenever he was sad, which was quite often.
Yeah.
Because he was quite... There was quite a lot of sadness, some of which was probably self-inflicted in some ways, some of which wasn't.
He got engaged to start with to the woman that was not his wife in the end. And then that engagement got called off, and I think that rocked him a little bit.
He was shaken.
Then his friend died, obviously, which was not within his control, obviously, and had a massive impact on his life, in all seriousness. But then, he had this long, protracted engagement to the woman that was eventually his wife, whose name escapes me.
Emily Selwood. Kept putting it off, haven't got enough money.
Because he wanted to live a life as a poet.
Yeah.
He was worried about not having enough money. Does that sound familiar to you, Ben? Nothing's changed, does it?
Yeah. At the time
of
recording, I got engaged 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And even as a librarian poet, I'm facing up to the whole. My life decisions have led to a point where I do not have a budget for my wedding.
You're a bit like Tennyson reincarnated, aren't you?
I mean, you said it, not me.
Apart from the family trauma
and the success,
everything else is there.
Now he had a very distinctive look. You know, he's often depicted with a big hat
and a beard
and a cloak.
He had the beard thing going on. He was a bit Disraeli, wasn't he?
Yeah, but the hat and the cloak actually emerged from a really strange period of his life. Now he is not exactly known as like the bad boy poet, but in the 1830s, briefly joined anti-monarchist Spanish rebels. With his friend Hallam, delivering messages and parcels, and just had this little interval where he became a Spanish rebel against the monarchy, so far as I can tell, and then came back and became good mates with the Queen.
That's the sort of thing you could do though in those days, wasn't it? Because you didn't really become a rebel, especially when you didn't have a proper job. You could just nip overseas for a bit, have a bit of a rebel, dabble in
rebellion
in the Spanish Civil War, come back.
But he apparently did not retain any anti-monarchy sentiment. No. But did retain. He really liked their cloaks and their big hats.
Right,
so
okay.
he adopted the look of a Spanish rebel as a very English, safe poet.
He was he not a bit? Didn't he have his nose put out of joint quite regularly by saying that he looked like Gladstone or Dickens or?
I mean, I think he regularly had his nose put out of joint. Yeah.
Any other Victorian?
I know that he was reluctant to be friends with Charles Dickens because people confused them, and obviously he didn't want to be mistaken for Charles Dickens.
That's happened to me a few times. Me and Brad Pitt.
I was say you and Charles Dickens.
No, me and Brad Pitt quite often get that.
Which is a real win for
confusion.
You. Not so much of a win for Brad Pitt. But I think Tennyson saw himself very much as the Brad Pitt in that situation, and saw Charles Dickens as the Willy's the poet in that scenario. So he didn't want people thinking,
and I think he was
a lesser being.
Yeah, I think you saying that is that's where he's turned the corner in the Phil Collins arc, isn't it? Because
that's true.
Now, he's kind of moved away from the self-doubt and the the reaction to the criticism of his work. You know, he's put all that to bed. He's gone through this sort of golden moment. He's on the rise.
He's published some successful stuff.
On the rise.
He's hanging out with some
him
cool
in the
people.
Street, looking over his wall, his garden wall, going, that's where Tennyson lives. Is he in? Is he in?
So maybe on the Phil Collins arc, where we are is the early success. Peter Gabriel has left Genesis. Phil Collins has stepped into the void. They're transitioning to a more of a pop direction.
Yeah.
And people are going, hey, we understand this. But yes, so he's kind of on the up.
He's on
the initial up.
Yeah.
And it looks good, but obviously there's danger ahead. He becomes mates with a bloke who runs an asylum. Because, lots of asylums around. and it's good to have a man on the inside, because if you end up inside, you want friends.
Ostensibly somebody to let you out again.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Because that was what they used to do, when they just lock them up for life, and you'd never see the light of day again.
But one day, this friend comes up to Tennyson and says, "I've got a get rich quick scheme for you."
A bit like pyramid selling.
It's much more simple than that, Rick.
Is it? Okay.
Do you know what he's selling?
Carved something or other, from memory.
Ecclesiastical wood carvings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think they would be popular in the Victorian age.
Well, yeah, you think so.
Yeah.
So you have this rising star in Victorian poetry meets the owner of an asylum who says, "I'm making these religious wood carvings. It's going to be huge.
Do you want in?
Do you want to fund it?
Your whole life savings.
Promise.
By the way.
I promise the return will be fantastic."
Yeah.
This is, the equivalent of that message pops up on Facebook and it's your friend who's just opened an Etsy shop.
Yeah.
"Listen, I'm selling key rings with motivational slogans on them. You can.
Just do it."
Yeah. You're worth more.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Believe in yourself. Do you want to put down £2,000?
It was a massive amount of money, wasn't it?
How much money have you got?
Yeah.
Put it down. It's going to be
all
huge.
Your life savings.
Yeah.
And then it crashes and burns.
And Tennyson thinks, fantastic. Yep, here's everything. And it would seem that the ecclesiastical wood carvings bubble burst at the worst possible moment, and all of Tennyson's money is gone. What
do you think you would have on an ecclesiastical wood carving? Little figure of Christ,
little Bible verse. Oh. Well, what I'm trying to work out is a wood carving, ecclesiastical wood carving. Are we talking like a slab of wood that you see over middle class white families' doorways, where it's just a nice message?
Right.
This house is built on love.
Yeah.
And food, or is it? Oh, how cheeky! Or is it a statue of a biblical figure?
And this is probably what Tennyson didn't really know.
Yeah.
Whenever he decided to go down the investment route,
he's probably not done his market research. He's made a bit of money, gives it all away, loses all of it, gets no return. Back to the water treatment. Wrap him up in the wet blankets.
In icy baths.
He's having a mare.
But then, of course, there's recovery.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And he writes another collection of work while he's in these dark periods of his time and he's away. The one thing that strikes me with Tennyson is he doesn't stop writing. He just keeps going. He's incredibly resilient, even when he can't quite hang it all together.
And he didn't write notes. He didn't have notebooks that he jotted stuff down in. He would famously wander around composing poems in his head.
In his head, yeah.
And then only write them down when he thought, that's done.
Yeah.
Presumably,
how did he do that?
For a very long piece, he would do that bit by bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like trying to compose a 30-page poem in your head, it would be tricky.
Yeah.
Even for Tennyson. I mean, some of his stuff. I mean, we have is it The Idylls of the King, which is a 10-book poem about King Arthur.
That's a monster, isn't it? Monster poem.
Absolute monster of a poem, which, let's be real, nobody reads.
No.
I've got it in this book here, and one day I'll read it.
I read the first line.
And
then I'll skip to the end.
Yeah. Some very celebrated poems, some heavily criticised poems. He apparently, so he was a bit, before he was married, he was a bit of a flirt. And his favourite thing to do was he'd meet a young woman, preferably a very pale one. And then they'd go for a walk, have a chat, and then he would write a poem about her. Quickly. He's far off a poem. But he only knew how to write one poem about women, and it had to be a pale woman.
Right.
If you read any of his poems about women,
they're all pale.
They're all these pale but lovely, delicate women. And apparently, even at the time, it was observed that there was no discernible difference in the way he saw any pale woman. They were just pale, beautiful women. Again, it's like it's a little party trick. Oh, I've written a song for you. Today is gonna be. You write a song where you can just substitute in any name.
Any name.
And so he'd write the same poem and just title it.
Yeah.
To whoever, hand it over, and they go, "Oh, how lovely!"
There you go.
And then another pale woman would come up and say, "Has he just written you?
Yeah,
he's given you a poem? Yeah. Has he called it
does
to?
Does it go like this?
To Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mine. It's called To Louise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he tell?
It's the same poem.
Did he call you pale? Oh, yeah. He had a type. I guess Emily Selwood must have been pale. I'd put all my money.
All your money.
Before I put it on Ecclesiastical Woodworks, I'd put it all on Emily Selwood being
slightly paler,
quite pale
for the average woman,
because that seemed to be his preference.
He does write one for his on a 77th birthday.
Oh wow!
But he does also leave it with 2 blank. So I think he's still hedging his bets a little bit,
just in case he can fill in.
Just in case she dies after her 77th birthday, he can reuse this poem.
This.
So
shall we hear this one?
Not only was he doing it for his, before he was married with his suitors, but he'd got this one. It's called June, Bracken and Heather 2 blank, just in case. There on the top of the down, the wild heather round me, and over me June's high blue. When I looked at the bracken so bright, and the heather so brown, I thought to myself, I would offer this book to you. This, and my love together to you that are 77, with a faith as clear as the heights of the June blue heaven, and a fancy as summer new as the green of the bracken amid the gloom of the heather.
Lovely. He reuses quite a lot of words in that poem, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Doesn't get very far.
No.
I like he kind of grasses himself up in that one. Oh, I thought I'd give you this book of my poems.
What a gift!
What a gift for your 77th birthday after a lifetime of faithfulness and love.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it's not even like a handwritten special one for her. He's just popped into Waterstones and found the Wordsworth edition of his own poetry.
So what was the turning point for Tennyson? When did he? Because he kind of went from the lowest of the low. He went straight to the top, didn't he? Straight to the poet laureate.
So this is the comeback.
Yes,
this is the comeback. So this is
which album are we on now?
Well,
on the
so Phil Collins has a very successful career.
Yeah.
He gets too popular. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
People turn against him. Releases a couple of flops, and he disappears and enters a stage of dejection and misery.
Yeah.
Announces a comeback tour.
Hey.
And what do you know? Suddenly everyone's a fan.
He's back.
He's back. Genesis reunite a few years later. Huge. And suddenly Phil Collins is a national treasure. All the money's coming in. Yeah. Everything's been reissued. Let's get all the old albums, or in Tennyson's case, let's get all the old books out. People are buying them up.
Yep.
Love him. All that Phil Collins needs to... Now, weirdly, Phil Collins hasn't completed the Phil Collins arc. Phil Collins hasn't died yet.
Yeah,
he's going to any day now. By the time this podcast comes out,
I know he's listening.
If you're listening, Phil,
don't do it.
God bless you. With thoughts and prayers. But let's be real. It's any day now. News will come, and he'll have completed the Phil Collins art, which is going out on an artistic high.
Yes.
And so Tennyson, he makes some friends in the right places, and his poem about his friend Hallam, who died. Obviously, this takes quite a while to write. In Memoriam. We're not going to read that one. It's long. And I believe, is that the poem? There's some interesting phrases that we get from Tennyson, and one of them is the whole "It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." And it might be in there. Queen Victoria, obviously, famously quite sad as well.
Yeah. A lot of time in the sadness zone. With,
Albert,
Queen Victoria,
R.I.P., passes away, and Queen Victoria comes across this poem in Memoriam and finds it very comforting.
And it's also extremely popular with the general public as well.
Yeah.
It sold in its thousands in the day. it would have made him an equivalent of a millionaire, which I can't imagine that happening.
No, a single poem making a poet. But Tennyson becomes very rich, and then they're looking for a new poet laureate. And I think the previous one was, is he taken over from Wordsworth?
Yeah.
Stone cold classic, William Wordsworth. They're looking for another poet laureate, and I think there are 2 other people that they try to ask before Tennyson.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I think they even considered a woman before Tennyson, which I don't think he would have been pleased with if he'd known. He becomes the poet laureate
forever.
It's a permanent thing back then. These days, you become the poet laureate for 10 years.
Yeah.
Back then, it was you're the poet laureate until you're gone. Die. But Tennyson took it very seriously. He'd write all the commemorative poems and
he'd
all
do
this.
proper long ones and all.
Oh, yeah.
And rhyming.
To the point where they probably regretted asking him. Because they'd go, Tennyson, can you throw a poem together for the Queen's birthday? Again. And he goes, right.
Here we go.
How many pages? And they're like, don't, Tennyson, just a little. He's like, 15 pages.
Max.
15 stanzas, 15 pages, 2 books. Why not? So he becomes huge.
He does become huge.
Which then involves, much to his distress, a certain amount of parody.
Yes.
And satire.
And public recognition.
Yeah.
Which he didn't like.
No, he didn't. I think he liked the money.
He disliked it so much he moved to the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
To get away from everyone. But it doesn't work because they find him.
Yeah.
They find him out there. And then of course he dies.
And then he does die.
Yeah.
He isn't still alive.
No.
He died. And he dies in perhaps the most pretentious, very deliberately performative. If we're talking about performance poetry,
well, as we started the show off with,
So he dies.
So we should end.
How does he die, Rick?
Well, he's lying on his deathbed, surrounded by his nearest and dearest, with the Shakespeare volume open in his hand. I mean, this is Instagram.
Yeah.
Before Instagram ever existed, isn't it? Photo op.
Yeah. And he's got his finger
on the page
that he's
probably reading, or he wouldn't have been reading it at that stage. I think he was delusional.
I'm just wondering how that conversation goes. Right, get the Shakespeare,
get it quick,
down, and they go, I think Dad wants to read he wants to read his favourites, and he goes, right, open it to this. Whatever happens, keep my hand on this
on this page.
Now you tell them I died with my finger in the page of Shakespeare. How does that conversation? I want to die posing like this, which nobody's gonna see, except the people in this room.
Yeah, so you've got to report it.
So you've got to go and then tell everyone.
And in fairness to him, he was genuinely a big Shakespeare fan because he tried to write some plays, didn't he? In a Shakespeare style,
they didn't go well.
But they crashed and burned.
Yeah. Yes, he did have some flops, and it's not that. And and this again, you got the Phil Collins arc. It's not that suddenly you come back and everything you do is phenomenal. Phil Collins in his redemption arc comes back and he, due to many misadventures, cannot drum, can't move around the stage. He has to sit in a chair and sing from there. Right, so it's not the Phil Collins of old. But we still love him. He's a national treasure now. So Tennyson, by this point, is probably not producing the most groundbreaking work of his career towards the end.
No.
But it's like, Tennyson's done another one, Oh, you got the latest Tennyson? Oh, yeah. It's released another little book. Isn't that nice?
But he was widely regarded when he died, wasn't he? I mean, the obituaries came flooding in. Have you got that?
The big quote.
The big quote. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, do you know that wasn't an obituary? It was
It was one of his peers.
It was on his birthday, and Edmund Goss, a contemporary, another writer of the time, a peer of Tennyson's. No, this is before Tennyson has died. He's still alive. It's on his 80th birthday. And what I love about this is a compliment, and it's a lovely compliment, but it is backhanded. So it's Tennyson's 80th birthday, and Edmund Goss says, "He is wise and full of intelligence, but in mere intellectual capacity or attainment, it is probable that there are many who excel him." he's clever, but
he's fuming.
He's not that clever.
At that point, isn't he?
It's your 80th birthday.
Lamp the fella.
And a guy gets up and goes, he's clever, but he's not that clever. That's,
Carry on,
easy. This, then, is not the direction in which his greatness asserts itself. He has not headed a single moral reform, nor inaugurated a single revolution of opinion. This man has changed nothing. His influence, zero. Zero political,
below zero,
world influence.
Yeah.
A wasted life. He has never pointed the way to undiscovered regions of thought. I love that. This man's never had an original thought in his life.
Poet laureate for 42 years.
Never had an original thought. He has never stood on tiptoe to describe new worlds that his fellows were not tall enough to discover ahead. So everything he said, people have gone, yeah, wow. Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tennyson. Yeah, we know. Okay.
But then he turns it around.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Still more.
No, but wait, there's more.
Still more slagging off.
There's one more. In all these directions, he's been prompt to follow, quick to apprehend, but never himself a pioneer. He's a sheep.
He is. Yeah.
But he's a sheep. He's gone where everyone else has gone, bit later, never has an original thought.
Yeah.
He's not that clever.
No.
So why? And you can almost hear people going, yeah, why do we?
Yeah.
Why is he celebrated? Why do we care about Tennyson?
Yeah.
Where then has his greatness lain? Good question.
Here we go.
It has lain in the various perfections of his writing. He has written, on the whole, with more constant, unwearied, and unwearying excellence than any of his contemporaries. That's good. He writes really nicely.
Writes really well for a poet. Well done.
He has expended the treasures of his native talent on broadening and deepening his own hold upon the English language until that has become an instrument upon which he is able to play a greater variety of melodies to perfection than any other man. So he's not clever, he's not original, he's not groundbreaking, but he writes a damn good poem.
He writes a proper rhymer, as long as you can imagine. So just to remind people, we had the random 3-word selector, earwax, undertake, and ruin.
Yes.
To produce our epic.
And the idea was poems. Either these would inform, but maybe also feature in the poems. Now, do you want to?
Shall I go first?
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
What's your poem called, Rick?
It's called Earwax. I will not pluck the wax that forms within the confines of my ear. This substance that so much conforms to everything that I hold dear. Its amber hues match autumn's turn. The rising sap of mistletoe must stay its course as lovers yearn, the touch of hands as one must go. While I remain to guard this love, the scent of you upon my glove. I will not undertake this act to mine the outer cavity. Instead rely upon the fact this course brings forth depravity. Souls lost at sea, their hearts desire safe passage on prevailing winds, sent forth into the devil's fire, cast down by dint of lesser sins. And as their final breath drew in, muse ceremen that brought their ruin. I will not flush my ear canal, extract the precious jewel within, lay waste this lubricant banal, the properties of which begin to fascinate the scholar's mind, the scientific lusts of man. I call to leave all this behind, for nature has a beauteous plan. That leave the wax secretions lie, keep out the dust, lest I might die. Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there. I think you did a much better job on this,
obviously,
than I did. And I called it The Dull and Bland, which just sets this poem up for absolute ridicule, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Dull and bland. I can already hear, very well known. Shut up. When all the sound that reached my ear did undertake to disappear, what once rang sweetly, now unclear, was rendered dull and bland. The world so rich in sound and song, from instruments or birds that throng, is rendered nothing, rendered wrong. It is no place to stand. Wherefore this veil of silence fallen over woods that used to call in ecstasy, but now appall in murmurs dull and bland? Those I asked could give no clue in what to seek and what to do in light of my apparent ruin, or where I ought to stand. But my doctor looked inside, and found the cause of audiocide within my ears did fault reside in colours dull and bland. He told me of the eerie wax, and gave my life a parallax, dependent on these awful facts, another place to stand. And now, with hearty application of a gush of warm hydration, I have cleared my blocked eustachian. No more dull and bland. I hear again all nature's chorus, and my praise it is uproarious for these medics who restore us, allowing us to stand. There we go.
Is that the end now?
I think so.
Right.
I think we've wrapped up there. Hopefully, anybody listening,
anybody still listening,
anyone out there, now knows enough. Now knows some fun facts about Tennyson that if it ever comes up at a party, you can say, "Oh, Tennyson, yeah, you know, funny thing happened. He lost all his money in an ecclesiastical wood carving scam."
Yeah.
You know,
and I also think that people will know a lot more about Phil Collins now than they ever did before.
The Phil Collins arc. We will come back to that.
I'm sure it will feature.
We will come back to that, and maybe when Phil Collins dies, we'll have to do a special episode. Tracking the Phil Collins arc.
Tracking the Phil Collins arc.
Tracking the highs and lows of the artist of our time.
Well, Ben, that's been very educational. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.